Welcome back to Sneaker Impact News. I'm your host, Brian the Botanist, and today I have a special guest, David Kilgore from On Running. David, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So, guys, today we're going to meet David Kilgore, aka the Florida Man. David's a dear friend of mine in Sneaker Impacts, part of our community. David is a trail and ultra endurance athlete with an impressive track record on and off the running courses. Raised in Florida, he's made New York City his home the last 8 years, where he lives with his fiance, Molly Metavier, and their spicy 8-pound Shih Tzu Rough Rider.
Yes, sir.
David's list of accolades features 4-time state champion and All-American status in high school for his cross country and track team. He was also a member of the NCAA D1 championship team. He triumphed in cross country in 2013, and in the past 5 years, he has represented the USA on 3 different world championship teams on the trails. Among David's recent achievements are winning the World Marathon Challenge, which consists of 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. David also did the Solo Speed Project, a 300-mile race from LA to Vegas. He's set an American record for the Red Bull Wings for Life World Run. He placed 31st at the Sky Running World Championship recently and finished 8th at the Leadville 100-miler, a legendary race. Apart from racing, David's a dedicated philanthropist, raising over $36,000 for equity design and the Don Monte Memorial Foundation, donating thousands of units of athletic gear to various organizations. David was recognized as a Central Florida Humanitarian of the Year in 2020 for his charity work, including raising $20,000 for the New York City run specialty shops and over $140,000 for Food Bank New York City. David is sponsored by On, Pit Viper, Red Bull, and the New York Athletic Club. David, it's an honor to have you today. How's it going, bud?
Dude, much appreciated. Yeah. Thank you for the lovely introduction. But yeah, I'm actually down in Florida right now in Miami. And so it can't be a bad day in Miami.
Awesome. I was going to ask where you are, but I know you split time between New York City and Florida. Tell us a little bit about your journey from growing up in Florida to college to your career in New York City.
Yeah, man. So I was born in England on an Air Force base and then came over to the States and grew up in Florida. I grew up in a place called Palm Bay, Florida, to the east coast of Orlando in Central Florida. And yeah, man, I had a awesome time growing up in Florida. It was fantastic. I was a very outdoorsy kid, always running around, playing in the swamps, hitting the beach every now and then. And yeah, just I feel like in a very diverse and communal place as well. And it was just awesome. I truly enjoyed my childhood and upbringing in Florida. But as time goes on, I feel like, especially being a young person at the time, as I got to the end of my high school days, I had really never left the state too often, only a few times for competitive running. I'm ready for something new. So I went out to the
Awesome.
University of Colorado, and that's where I started my college journey and competed for the Buffaloes, running cross country and track out there, and being introduced in this whole new environment of just like a world-class track and field program, and also the snow, the mountains, the altitude, all of the things, and also getting to meet people from all walks of life and people from different experiences from all over the world.
That's awesome. Who was the coach at Colorado when you were there?
Yeah, man. So when I went there, he's been the coach for a hot minute now, but Coach Charles Wetmore and Heather Burrows.
Okay, yeah, I've heard a lot about it. I know Mark Wetmore. Is that relation to Charles?
Yes. So yeah, it is Mark Wetmore, but his first name is Charles, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what's been going on lately? I know that you've got some runs coming up in New York City, but catch us up the last couple of months. It's been a really busy time. I know you were at the Olympic trials last weekend in Orlando. What's the last couple of weeks been like for David Kilgore?
Yeah, man. So actually, we cruised down to Florida a few weeks ago. I've just been working, getting in good training. But the last few weeks also have been very exciting in the running world. The Miami Marathon went down, which is
Yep.
definitely a crown jewel around South Florida. So it was really cool to be a part of that energy. And we were out sharing a lot of great energy. And then building off of that energy, we brought that over to Orlando for the Olympic Trials Marathon, which was insanely exciting. I actually have never been to a trials marathon before, and
Same here.
it was incredible,
Yeah,
man. Incredible experience, right? How do you feel
I
about it?
know. Honestly, I was talking about it for days. One of my friends was like tired of hearing about it after. I had the time of my life. I was like a kid in Disneyland,
Oh, 100%, man. Yeah. I love going
seeing
to,
Jenny Simpson,
oh,
and Galen Rupp, all the pros. You could probably name hundreds of athletes. It was
yeah, it's
everyone was there.
incredible, man. And I feel like it's so special for events like this, like Olympic trials, world major marathons. It's just such a melting pot, I
Mhm.
feel like, of so many different levels of everybody. Really hyper competitive legends in the sport that you're watching just rip 5-minute miles down the street in like 70-degree temperatures. And then you have brands again, like doing like really cool pop-ups and bringing people in and getting them involved in running. And the same thing goes, I feel like, with a lot of local and communal groups that are traveling from all over the country, these
Yeah.
elite, sub-elite runners that are a part of these communities. And they're also competing with these legends that are placing in the top 10 at the trials. So it's such a melting pot of runners at a place like the Olympic trials. And
Well,
it was special to have it close to where I grew up too. One of the guys I went to high school with, his apartment was right above the finish line of the trials. So we
wow.
got to spend a lot of time up there cheering.
Yeah, that was so cool. Yeah, I drove up there from Miami. So next time I'll take the Bright Line, the new service. Experience of a lifetime, something I've never done. What was a big surprise for you and for the athletes that qualified? Were there surprises? I know there's 2 men and 3 women that have been guaranteed spots.
Yeah, man, there definitely was some surprises in who made the team. That's what's always so special about these qualifying races. You never know who's going to come out on top, both in the women's field and the men's field. It shook the running world of who made it. But there is definitely some people that were more guaranteed. I would say Hunter Mance and Emily Sisson
Sure.
were two on each
Yeah,
side that
I
people were
had
like,
them both in my favorites as a top 3 finisher.
yeah, 100%, man. So it's always hard hitters that if they don't make
Yeah.
it, it's a surprise, but you always get a nice spread of people that squeak into the top 3, and that's a big shock, which is awesome.
Did you know anyone personally running in it that you're really close with? I know Sarah Hall, I wanna give a shout out because I've always been a huge fan, and I got to interview her one time. She got 5th and setting a new American record for the Masters.
Yeah,
It was so close, but she was like a minute away from qualifying. She got 5th, but she still is a legend, and I really respect her. So I wanted to just mention Sarah Hall real quick. But who did you want to give a shout out to, or anyone from the race?
yeah, for sure, man. The list is extensive from knowing a lot of people from the professional circuit, especially being in Orlando. Different Floridians were shooting for that, and a lot of runners that I knew back in the day were grabbing at that, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Sure.
But I would say shout out to the 5th place men, CJ Albertson. He's one of my favorite marathoners. He's always doing something really obscure with his training. If you haven't followed him on Strava, definitely he's a fun follow. But CJ Albertson, Connor Winter, he was one of my groomsmen who runs for a 10-man elite. His teammate as well, Reed Fisher, who got ninth, another 10-man guy. We have Aaron Grigori from New York City. Another person, Alexander Burks from New York City, came away with the 43rd place finish. And also a person that I've known for a long time, Anne-Marie Blaney, who runs for Brooks, smashed it. I believe she got 16th overall. So yeah,
Wow.
all the love to all the runners out there. It was awesome watching them be a part of it because moment and event for so many.
Yeah, I felt like Orlando crushed it. My friend Jason was with me. He's the race director of the Fort Lauderdale Marathon. I time 5Ks every weekend and half marathons for split second timing. We're going to talk about that today. And honestly, logistically, it was obviously a little hot for the athletes. They moved the start time to 10:10 for the men and 10:20 for the women. By 11:30, it was like 75 degrees, I think. And it started out like 58 or 55, which is nicer. Besides that, it was a perfectly executed event. How about you?
I would 100% agree. I think beside the timing, they moved it back a little bit too because it was supposed to start at noon originally. But other than that,
Yes.
I think it was perfectly done
Yeah.
type of event.
Track Shack, shout out to Track Shack and the city of Orlando. That's not easy there were no snafus at all. It seemed the runners and athletes had a great experience. So next topic, David, I want to get into is your career at On.
Yeah.
So tell us how that all started with On and how that's evolved and what your role is currently and some of the adventures and responsibilities you have at On.
Yeah, man. So I originally started out at On as a tech rep and more like tech and sales. And I covered, I think it was around 86 accounts across like New York City, Philly, and New Jersey, which was sick. Basically, I traveled around and aided running accounts with like stock inventory, events, merchandising, all of the above. And around the same time that I started on, also shout out to the on athletes that competed at the trials as well. Tashome and Jake Riley gave it a fantastic effort, and yeah, took it away in that heat. But yeah, man. So I basically started as a tech rep, and I was there for doing that role for about 2 years, and in court in what's it called in parallel to being a tech rep, I also signed an athletic contract to be an athlete on the trail and ultra side of things for On. And then as the
Wow.
years progressed, I feel like I've grown as a person, as an athlete, and a person within the industry, and moved up into a managerial role in community based in New York City. The last 2 years, I've been On for about 5.5 years. And so I've seen a tremendous amount of growth within the company, as the company is about 13 years old now. The last 2 years, I've been our global head of all of our trail and ultra athletes. So I sign athletes, I market athletes, I help plan events around the athletes as well. And that's what I do on a day-to-day, and also work with my other counterparts who manage more of the road running athletes, the cross country, track and field, triathletes, and tennis players. We all work hand in hand as a collective. But what I handle on a day-to-day basis is all of our trail and ultra athletes. I am my own boss, so I have to manage myself.
That's hard though. It's sometimes easier having someone that you report to and than to manage yourself, but it's a fun career. It sounds like the best job ever to get to run in the mountains of, I've heard you've been in the Alps in the last year and you've been in Leadville. We're going to get into some of your racing stories in a little bit. But first, I want to talk more about On. I've learned that they're very into sustainability. It's one of their core pillars. And we've been talking with them about becoming official partners of On. Can you tell us more about On's mission and their values?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we have a program called the Cyclone program, the recyclable shoe that's on a subscription plan. All of this has come about because one of our key metrics as a brand is sustainability. And I feel like the company being born in the Swiss Alps and its deep connection to nature and environmental impact, I feel like that's like basically a forward leading situation that we've always had in our mind. Constantly, we're looking at new ways to better what we're putting out into the world through our different sustainability programs. And I feel like a part of that is starting that conversation with you guys over at Sneaker Impact of how the rest of our shoes are potentially getting recycled and how we're going about that as well.
That's a perfect transition to my next question. How did you learn about Sneaker Impact? We're going to play your Instagram post that you did about your visit to our headquarters in Miami. Tell us how you learned about it, your overall impressions.
So this is everything else from the shoe. Phone and run the program.
I first learned about it through you, Brian, and Frankie. Both of you guys were telling me over a year span what you guys were doing and different types of procedures and machinery that you guys got. I was just astounded. And then when I actually got to go there and see it in person, I honestly believe that I was blown away by what you guys are doing at the factory. Not only are you changing the fabric and of the way sustainability looks for specifically, I feel like the athletic world, I would say you guys are also impacting so many people's lives in all these different countries that you're helping supply with work, which is incredible.
Absolutely. It's a social enterprise. And for those that don't know, we are a for-profit, not a nonprofit. We do good for people and the planet. And we are creating jobs at home and abroad in 20 plus countries where micro businesses refurbish running shoes that have a second life. And then as David was mentioning, we have a grind program for our end of life shoes. And we have a lot of R&D going on. Just today, I was with Mo, our founder. He's showing me different tests patches. They're making playground surfaces with grinded shoes. And we're testing a new flooring in our office. And so we're testing recycled shoes plus other recycled materials. to give it a spongy, cleanable surface, testing different formulas to find the best playground or track surface so we can eventually do more tracks and playgrounds.
The full circularity of that. It's like these shoes are getting donated because you guys have now partnered with different run specialty retail and different running organizations. These shoes are now getting recycled to be on a playground for kids to run around in.
And eventually, our goal is to make new shoes. It takes 95% purity, but we're going to get there. And we talked to On over last summer and we met with them a couple of times too at TRE. And you introduced us to their sustainability people. And we're hoping that could be a great relationship and other companies will get involved too. One of the ideas our founder had is to have recycled 95% plus pure EVA foam and other foams, the PPU, the TPU. There's different types of foam and materials. It's a process to separate the upper textiles, which are fabrics, from the rubber and foam, which is the valuable part. But once we get to 95% plus purity, it could be traded on like a stock exchange as a commodity. EVA foam recycled for the active sports industry, runners taking the lead. And that could be used in future On shoes from the same store you buy the shoes from. You would bring them back. Sneaker Impact will collect them, grind them. Shoes with 1,000 miles can still get life.
Oh, totally, man.
They can be repaired.
And I completely agree.
Not for a runner, maybe.
But yeah, and I think that's something that I really took from you guys as well. And visiting the factory was to put more into my shoes. Being an athlete and working at a footwear company, I'm spoiled in the sense of I can access shoes, I would say fairly easy, probably than most people. But I feel like really putting in the time and care and even repairing some of the models that I currently have that have more miles in it. I feel like it's been an awesome transition too in my own personal sustainability journey and running journey.
That's again, another perfect transition. My next question is, how do you run and live sustainably?
Yeah, man, that is spot on. I would say more now in the sense of being able to repair a lot of my footwear. But when I was younger, I also only had a few pairs of shoes, so I really did run them down to where they fell apart. Started off in a very sustainable way just because of not being able to access so many shoes myself. And then accessing a lot of shoes, and then now moving more as I've educated myself more in this sustainable type of realm. I think Miami, honestly, man, is a perfect city for it as well. It's being in a lot of different cities on a regular basis. I do travel a decent amount, and I would say, put a high importance on the amount of traveling and how I'm giving back. I've researched and I'm a part of different climate controls type of organizations. So like Climate Neutral is one that I believe heavily in, and I usually each year try to donate back a percentage of my carbon that I'm putting out into the air for the amount of travel I do as with work and with athletic travel. As I've traveled all across the world, I feel like Miami has been key. I've been able to relate to the amount of care and the amount of conscious decisions people are putting out into the city, where they're keeping it clean. They're not just recklessly doing things. The city is very, I could be wrong, I guess, if you have any better insight on that, but I think Miami is like one of the
No, I think you're
cities.
It's getting better. The city of Miami Beach is cracking down more on, and they've banned balloons now within certain distances of waterways in the city of Miami Beach. I don't know if it's Miami wide, but that's a good progress with the celebrations and all the balloons and and then we have to be mindful of our beaches. I know you probably have participated in plogging, which has gotten a lot bigger the last couple of years. Each pair of shoes that you recycle saves you about 18 kilograms of carbon.
Wow.
That's what you are saving by recycling. So that's according to Sneaker Impact's practices for our grinding and our upcycling, or it's based on the cost of what it would cost to create a new shoe versus reusing it. At 18 kilograms of carbon, recycling shoes matters. And some of the stores we're working with, and you've helped us, shout out to Fleet Feet in New York City and David Gett. We're partnered with the 6 Fleet Feets in New York City, the Brooklyn Running Company, and a couple other great shops. And they're donating, or not, we call it upcycling, over thousands of pairs a year easily through New York City. I would say we're probably going to hit over 50,000 shoes a year and just going to keep going up. And we're also helping local organizations. And then the shoes that there's always extra shoes, because if you think about how many shoes people have, there's so many more than even the local homeless would need.
I completely agree. That's probably the best plan of action, basically, how most people are using sustainability in their lives, it's through education. You can't fault anybody for how they grew up or what they know. If they're
Sure.
willing to learn, adapt, and help share that message and example, like I was telling you, coming into the factory and learning more about what you guys are doing, talking to a lot of other people within industry of what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, and working with our own sustainable team at On. It's been a blessing for my life and how I've been able to help spread that to other retail accounts and even share with other athletes and colleagues about what I've learned over the years and being a part of my specific industry. And I feel like it's important to share that and to work with people of different industry to see what their best practices are and to be able to implement those into your life.
So what's your favorite shoe for training, or is there a different trainer versus racer? I know you race the mountains mainly, but what shoe would you recommend or for you versus someone else? Is there some models you want to throw out there?
Yeah, man, the Cloud Boom Echo 3, that's our marathon shoe right now. It's super fast, explosive. It's in the super shoe category. I would recommend that shoe. It's one of my favorites. On the trail side of things, the Cloud Vista and the Cloud Ultra are very nice. I love to use them for training and racing. And we have a new shoe coming this month in the next
Nice.
couple of weeks.
So what's the favorite events you've attended in the last year and raced in or been a part of? I want to now transition to your racing career / events career. Like we said, there's the World Marathon Challenge. The first one that comes to my mind is that you won this 7-day challenge that went all around the world in 7 days, and you won almost every race, but it wasn't even about the winning. Tell us about the last year and some of these races and events you've been a part of.
Yeah, man, that was a rowdy one. So I did 777. It was actually almost a year to go today, and which was awesome. So it's 7 marathons, 7 days on 7 continents. We kicked it off in Antarctica, then back to Africa and South Africa, Perth in Australia, Dubai for Asia, Madrid in Europe, Fortaleza in northern Brazil, and then ended right here in Miami Beach for the final one, which was epic. It was definitely one of the best places to end for me, especially it was like a big homecoming with so many friends and family, and being the Florida man as well. It was the perfect finale to have it here in Miami Beach. But that was one of the most special, getting to travel across the world and be a part of so many different cultures, even though if it was for a hot second, it was really fascinating and very cool, especially for the one in Dubai. That was the most special foreign for me. During sunset, we kicked off our marathon, and everybody in the city is in their traditional dress. Kids riding around in scooters, living their life, having fun. And around when sunset hit, it was about 30 minutes into the race. Underneath the skyline in Dubai of the Burj Khalifa, just like prayer music was radiating through the city. Everyone just took a moment and stopped. It was so special. Each of the continents that we were on, it was very special to get that taste and that flavor of the culture within the span of a week.
Just so people know, you were jumping on a private jet, right, with the group. How many people did this again?
Yeah, man. So we had about 74 people, including race staff. And for the first one, we flew on this very specific type of plane to Antarctica. It was almost just gutted on the inside, and it almost looked like it belonged in Disney World. It looked like fake, like you jump on like an adventure plane.
Like you could put a big tank in there that falls out of the plane and comes down on the parachute, right?
Yeah,
You jump out
exactly. Are we jumping out the back of this? What's going on here?
to give you guys room to fly to Antarctica.
Yeah, and the nose of the plane too, it was all glass. So you could look out the front of the plane. It was incredible. But yeah, also
That started the year. How did that change things and where did that lead you?
Yeah, man. So that started the last year. Honestly, since the pandemic, I've shifted what I've done within running and made it a bit more meaningful. The first time I did something a little bit more philanthropical, I planned this large 100-mile route in my hometown in Florida. That's where I was living at in the start of the pandemic in the United States. And I put together this 100-mile route and was able to live stream it more or less and work out and run with people from all different parts of the world that were able to join virtually. So we're able to be distant from each other, but show each other these remote, amazing spots that we were working out in. At the same time, we're able to run, or we were able to raise money for local run retail shops where we purchased footwear and then donated it back to frontline medical workers. And after that event that just more or less like randomly came together, out of just like creative thoughts with my friends and family, I started looking at running through that lens. This was the most special thing I ever did in my life. I was able to give back. I was able to help get other people moving. I was able to help inspire others. I was able to do a big athletic feat myself. After that, I still enjoyed the competitive nature of races such as the Leadville 100, but it's also special to put together large marketing initiatives that couple large athletic endeavors to support foundations and inspire people to get after their dreams.
That's awesome. So this race in Florida, does it still exist or was it a one-off?
Yeah, man. So it was a one-off. It was a route that I put together since all the races got canceled this year because of the pandemic.
It was an
I put together this 100-mile route. I wanted to do the 100-mile distance for the last year now, but my race had got canceled. So I put that together and put together this, like more or less like marketing initiative for everybody to work out all together for this 18-hour span of which I was like running 100 miles in Florida.
Wow. And when did you do the speed project, the one from LA to Las Vegas? That one I'm interested in.
Yeah, man.
talking
So
about.
then actually after I remember doing my first 50-mile race and getting into ultras, and I just felt absolutely trash. I got destroyed. It was actually the Everglades. And after that, there was whispers about this event, the Speed Project, running Speed Project solo, because I had been involved with the race a few times on the relay teams. And I was like, there's no way I would ever do that. Fast forward a few years, and Nils, who's the race director of the event, he hit me up and he was like, hey, would you have any interest in coming to be a part of this? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is something I want to get after now. It's a new challenge. I've experienced the relay side of it, and I just really love the concept of the event. I think it's almost the perfect event. It has such a hard effort, no matter what type of, if you're doing it solo, if you're doing it on a relay team, you are just like ground down into something, but it has this very raw nature to it. And then it leads to the most epic celebration ending in Las Vegas at a big pool party. So I think it's a very special event and a cool event that I've got to be a part of since 2017. And last year I didn't do it. I supported Nils and the race staff during the event. I got to be a part of it in a different capacity.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool to run. And we've done that for some Ragnars and other ultras, right? I know you've been a part of teams. I actually did the speed project virtually during the pandemic, and we did it in Miami Beach area, just north of Miami Beach on this like loop. But we did it. It was like what, 48 hour or it's 30, how many hours?
Oh yeah. So at the time they base it off
2 days. It felt
Yeah, they based it off the past
nonstop for
record
2
was,
days.
and I think it was like 36
Okay.
hours.
Cool. So that one was on your last year. And tell us a little bit about Leadville. I've talked to Lucian a lot about his races, and you and him have some similar race schedule.
Yeah, bro, I believe so. But yeah, Leadville, it stole my heart back in 2019. One of my buddies was getting married, and so he went out there on a bachelor party, and it was just like a huge mountain guy. So he's like, all I want to do every day is just like 2 14ers a day for a week. And we'll just like camp out, just like nailing 14,000-foot mountains and going on long treks. So we cruised around there for a week. We got to meet a few different individuals within the community, and then also get even closer with people that I already knew that were like in the mix, and spent a lot of time out there. And so fast forward a couple years later, I was like, oh, I really want to do the Leadville 100, and had done a few hundreds before that. And yeah, got into the race and trained for about 3 weeks prior to the race. And so it's an event that takes place pretty much the entire 100 miles over 10,000 feet, which is quite high. And it was just extra special. I feel like though, just going back to that community, training there for almost a month and really getting to be a part of that community before the race. It's such a cool event if you haven't been out there before. It's an event that was started by old school miners in the area. Basically, there's a mine that closed down once upon a time, and the main guy that puts on the race now was a miner at that organization. So he's like, oh my God, this whole economy is going to collapse. So I have to find a way that's going to make people really hungry and really tired, so they'll eat at our restaurants and they'll sleep at our hotels. He had just seen something about the Western States 100. And so he's going to put on a 100-mile race and drive traction back to this area. And so he did. And it basically has now grown to being one of the most famous ultra events in the world that helps support that local economy and has now made it an outdoor mecca. So I feel like it's just like such a cool place, has such awesome endurance history. And it was a really magical thing to be able to go there and to also place in the top 10.
Incredible. And I've read that your hair will freeze with the water. You're so high up. There's billy goats climbing the mountains up there. What else is up there? There's no plants hardly growing up there. I've been to 14,000 feet in Guatemala on top of Acatenango, the dormant volcano, and there's nothing up there except for black sand. Is that similar? It's just like a desert scape,
Pretty much, man. Lots of dirt roads, lots of pine trees, and
like a scrub. Yeah, there's like scrub barrens. Yeah.
as you climb up, especially in the one part of the race, you embark up towards, I think it's like 13,000. It's Hope's Pass. And that just becomes very barren. Like you get way above the tree line. There's not too much up there besides a lot of wind and maybe some little critters every now and then. I was out there about 3 weeks beforehand. And so I had trained on a decent amount of the course. And during the race day, I ran up and I get to the top of Hope's Pass and there's a field full of alpaca.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm just like, wow, do these live up here? Where do they come from? And I didn't realize till later, that's actually how the race staff gets the aid station up there. They pack all these alpacas up with the gear and they cruise up the mountain with them. It's pretty cool.
Behind the scenes, you got to immerse yourself for a couple of weeks before the race. We covered some of your races that you've competed in, but I heard that you have a race in New York City called the NYC Trail Fest and 5K on the beach, and they're both coming up. Tell us about those races / events.
Yeah, man. So we have the New York City Trail Fest. It happens on May 31st. It's a Friday, right across the George Washington Bridge in the Palisades Park. Beautiful views of the skyline, some proper trail running on the technical sections up top on the Palisades Cliffs. And then when you're down, it's a little bit more of a bridle path with that iconic view of New York City. This event's going to be completely new, but similar with the location of
Are
the
you
trail.
one of the organizers?
Yeah. So myself and the Trials of Miles guys, Cooper and Dave, we are the race organization for the event. And we do both these events actually together, the 5K on the beach, which happens July 19th, and the New York City Trail Fest. So previously, this event was known as the Hudson River 50. And basically, we sat back and after having it for the last couple of years, and we're like, hey, you know what? How can we make this more accessible? How can we make this more fun? What are areas that we're missing? And that's how the New York City Trail Fest. And so we shifted the date from October into May, which allows more people to come out and race. And then allowing more distances to be, we basically opened the door to more distances for the event as well. Before it was a 50-mile and a half and a marathon distance, and now we have 5K, 10K, half marathon, and a 50K. The main premise around the event is having this party, like fun atmosphere and this cultural, like New York City cultural experience too. Just because I feel like a lot of trail runners don't get to come and enjoy a place like New York City that often. Our plan is to make it more of this festival type of environment. We're going to have DJs and live music, food vendors, and people are going to be ripping through the finish line. So I'm saying we're going to have to get you out there, my man.
Yeah, I'm a boomer DJ in my mid-40s, a professional DJ with a music agency.
Let's go. We'll have you out there on the disc.
I'm DJing the A1A Marathon Expo in Fort Lauderdale next weekend. My friend's doing the marathon because I time it. So Dave, that's awesome. So guys, we're going to share links, but definitely check out the NYC Trail Fest on, I'm assuming, Instagram and on Google. And that is going to be in May. That's David's race. The 5K on the beach is in the summer, David?
Yeah, the 5K on the beach in the summer. It's July 19th.
Same location, same area, like.
And that one's on Rockaway Beach. It's definitely been a staple in the New York City running community over the last couple of years. And it's been ever growing. You run down the boardwalk for 5K and the finish line leads you into the beach, into the ocean. We have also a really awesome after party at the Rockaway Hotel. Yeah, if you want to run, if you want to come cheer at either of the events, it's going to be a blast either way. Definitely come out, give us a look. We're listed on Ultra Sign Up You can follow along through my social handles. We'll do course previews and fun promo so you can get the inside scoop of what it'll look like.
Awesome, man. I think trail racing just gets you really out there into the world. So this takes us to our next section, David, which is one of our final sections. It's about your hero's journey, that when we get challenges in life, it's meant to test whether we really want what we say we want and if we're willing to work hard through obstacles. What have been the challenges you've faced in your life, some of your biggest ones? I know you told me in privacy about your college life was not always easy, but even it could be post college, it could be pre college, it could be as a child. What are some of the biggest struggles and challenges you've had to face, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, man. I feel like starting off, just like there was a few, I would say like financial obstacles that I wasn't aware of when I was a young kid. But I feel like through the power of sport, that's the red thread through my life. It's given me so many opportunities. So I first realized when I got to go to my high school, and I was able to go at a much different rate than I get to go to a private high school where I started my running journey a few years before that. In middle school, I was able to get into the school through athletics and a different like financial standing. But after the years went by, I realized like how important that what I got from athletics was an education from that school. From there, I was able to uplift myself and gain notoriety in the running space and be able to go to, again, continue my education and to open my doors to many more opportunities in college. College was a roller coaster of a ride, and I don't know, it's a weird obstacle for most people. It's a learning stage in your life, and from there, what really took away was the importance of the people in my life that were helping me help give me these opportunities. My parents were salt of the earth, amazing people. I feel like would give me anything off their back if it meant for me to succeed in my life. To my parents and my friends,
They believed in your running dream.
Yeah, man.
They
Honestly, they
understood
didn't.
that you're passionate. Like they didn't put up any type of criticism of that your dream is to be a professional athlete. You are a professional athlete, endurance athlete, manager of athletes, brand team member. Your career is running and is sport. So now that you've made it here, was it always a clear path, or did your parents say, David, maybe you should be a doctor?
Actually, not really, man. And I think that's one of the most special things too about my parents. I still don't think, I think now they do, but during my journey of running and sport and all of the above over the last 20 years, there was definitely times they're like, I have no idea what you're doing, man. But it seems like you really care about what you're doing. You're really excited about it. And we're excited that you're excited about it. And we want you to continue to pursue that because that's what life's about. And so I had that mindset gifted to me from an early age from the environment that I was around. And from that, I would say the type of environment I was around in my high school years with athletics, my coach, Coach Doug Butler, he was a fantastic mentor to me as well. He instilled in me the value of hard work, but also keeping things fun and interesting because our team was a powerhouse in the state of Florida. He puts emphasis on the type of workouts and running that we were doing, but he always found a way to make it really fun and exciting. And I think that's why he's such a strong lineage in the sport himself and such a long history of success in high school distance running within the state of Florida and nationally. I lost a little bit during some of my college years. It was a mixed bag where I was learning a lot of things about myself. I would say emotionally, things that I actually enjoyed as a person and why I enjoyed the running that I was doing so much at an early age. Also, just real life stuff that was thrown into the mix in my life.
Sure, becoming an adult, right? You're transitioning from living with parents to be on your own. You're in a new state. There's a lot of formative stuff going on and challenges in school, balancing that with being your D1 athlete. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, 1,000%, man. And I think that's what truly motivates me.
We were just talking about how your hero's journey through college helped make you the man you are today.
Oh, yeah. And I would say my hero's journey and what I realized has made me to what I am today is just the importance of sport and what it can do for people's lives. and also the importance of a community and the people that you surround yourself with.
So I want to talk about the fundraising you've done. Can you tell us how that's been going, how people can get involved, and what it's going towards?
Yeah, man, I have done a plethora of projects over the last handful of years supporting different causes. And yeah, it's just, I feel like I find things that are specifically important to or close to myself and in the communities that I'm in. I feel like two key ones have been Equity Design and the Don Monty Foundation. I've worked with the Empire State Building run up for the last handful of years. And each year, me and my buddy Don Saladino, who's in the fitness and strength and conditioning realm, have teamed up a foundation that we're passionate about. We've done both Equity Design and Don Monty, two foundations close to us. We've raised money through different workout programs, raffled them off with a GoFundMe page with an opportunity to run in the Empire State Building run up with us and the staff from Equity Design and or Don Monty over the last few years. So that's raised quite a bit of money and something that we want to continue to keep doing. I feel like that's always a staple in the calendar for each of us each year. With the races that I put on with Trials of Miles, that's been a ton of fun and giving back to the Parks Department where, we rent the spaces out from. And then also working pretty closely with the Hudson River Keeper, where a portion of our proceeds goes back to the people that keep the Hudson River clean day in and day out.
Awesome.
We did also a preview run where we did a cleanup for the Hudson River a couple years back. We ended up pulling a mattress out of the Hudson River, which was insane. But I feel like, yeah, through the lens of fundraising and sustainability as well, it's always fun to give back, especially when you can see the direct impact that you're having and the organization that you're helping fund is doing.
Absolutely. And we're going to have links down in the description. He's been a dear friend of ours for many years, and we're very fortunate he gave us the time. So my next section is, David, not as a runner, what are your other passions?
Yeah, man, my other
And you can
passion.
include things you do with your new wife, Molly, what you and Molly do
Yeah, man,
besides running.
definitely running takes up a lot of time, I would say.
She works in the running industry too, right?
Yeah, she worked for Nike for quite a while and has now been working for Lululemon for a stint. And she was on contract with them, but now is a free agent. So she's looking for all of you running connoisseurs out there. But yeah, man, I would say, yeah, a lot of our life is circled around running with events, activations, philanthropy situations that we're doing. And then, of course, our own running. Outside of running, I think we're both pretty similar in this department. I feel like we're both very big hype people. We love what other people are excited about. So I feel like we're exploratory in what we do, and we love to be dragged into a new type of experience.
Just anything. You're up for any, the grocery store. I've seen some of your Instagrams. You're jumping through turnstiles at the subway. Tell us some of your adventures with Molly.
Yeah, exactly, man. So we actually did a really fun engagement shoot where we went to places around New York City, that were special to us and just ran around like kids and had a blast. That was the one you saw. So we're in suits jumping over the turnstiles. Also, if you're in New York City, tell everybody that you're on an engagement photo shoot because everybody was tremendously nice to us and let us do anything that we wanted.
So when you said engagement, I thought you like engaging your audience, like in marketing, but you meant engagement like you're getting married.
Yeah.
And
So
so you're wearing all of the wedding.
after I proposed to Molly, we got dressed up and hired one of our buddies who's a fantastic photographer. His name's Keith Fear now. And yeah, went out for a day and ran around New York City and some of our favorite spots and used a lot of those photos for announcement that we're engaged and for all the fun stuff and wedding invites.
Well, it was,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. So no, I just love that it was so natural for you and not something forced. It was a fun adventure. It wasn't strategic.
Oh, 100%,
It was
man.
organic, and authentic, and beautiful in that you both wanted to do it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, and dude, honestly, I think, of course, I feel like what I do for work or for what Molly and I do for work, we both have like marketing minds and I feel like understand like the concepts behind things. But I think that's again, what's really special about the two of us is that we always lead with our heart and with pure intentions and with fun intentions. Some of the adventures that me and Molly go on a weekly basis, we're always exploring different restaurants, different run clubs. And in Miami, we go out to kayaking and spend time on the water, and we'll snorkel around. A lot of it is even run centric too. Like we might be going out to the Everglades to run this really cool path, but I feel like in parallel with that, we're spending the weekend camping or something. So I feel like definitely a lot of like outdoorsy activities. But really anything, man. I think if someone has the adventurous spirit and wants to come cruise, then we're really about that, and just like to have fun.
Totally. Yeah, just getting outside, and whether it's a skateboard or a kayak or just the feet. But one of the last questions I have is, do you want to do a shout out to anyone in Miami or New York City, or anyone you want to give a little shine to right now?
Yeah, I definitely want to give a shout to Sneaker Impact, man. You guys are the best. I love what you're doing. Fantastic work, fantastic people, and very, meaningful work. I think it really shines with what you guys are doing, not only in the running community, but in the sustainable world. And I also give a shout out to Coconut Grove Run Club. They invited me out 2 weeks ago now to be a part of their run club, and it was a fantastic time. So shout out to Christian and Piper and that group as well.
That's awesome. I know, as we mentioned before, you and I have trained together over the years, and yeah, we just got to run together, and I hope we get to run together in the future soon. I'm just coming back from a bad injury myself, but I'm getting back out there again, and we're going to have you in here soon too to walk around with us on the floor of our facility, and we can show you some of the updates to our research and development. I did want to ask you, how did you get the nickname Florida Man?
Yeah, man. So I got the nickname Florida Man when I did that 100-mile stunt back in 2020. And so I was like, wow, this is being from Florida. I was like, this is like the creme de la creme. I was like, I can't believe I got a Florida Man article. Then my buddy, Jake Key in New York City, dubbed me with the title Florida Man. And I just swung with it after that. And it's stuck. One of the coolest moments in my running life, or in my life in general. I just thought it was so fun. I was in the middle of the Sahara Desert running this really gnarly event, and I was getting just rocked. I was fried and dying in the race. And this guy comes by me, and I believe he was from New Zealand. And he's, oh my God, you're that crocodile guy. And I was like, dude, this is so fun. I love that. And I just love the name too, man. I feel like it's a very like fun fitting like personality, and like an outrageous like type of like personality, and that's the energy I want to put out into the world.
Florida Man, yeah.
Or like recklessness to the term Florida Man, but I love it because I love the energy, the spirit, and I love the rowdiness and recklessness of it, just to continue to put that energy out into the world for everybody else.
Definitely. Living in New York City, it's cool to see you bringing the Florida Man persona. Now you're living down here too, so again, and that's where your roots are. So that's awesome. It's a cool story about, I'm sure as your youth, you probably got to hunt some lizards and alligators and other creatures in the swamps. Do you have any cool childhood stories?
Oh, for sure, man. Me and my buddy used to catch lizards, like the small ones, and they would open their mouths sometimes. And so they would bite onto your earlobe, almost like earrings. So you could walk around with them, and then of course take them off and put them back down. And then my buddy's father had these large fish tanks all over his house. So every now and then we'd go and catch these small little gators and put them in the fish tanks for a little while and then re-release them. But I don't know. Now that I'm older, I'm like, I don't know how good this was for the alligators, but it was fun as a kid at the time. But yeah, man, all the reptiles for sure.
That's pretty cool. I grew up in the Midwest, so very different. But I can see in your energy and your personality and your mentality that adventurous Florida spirit. So it's a really cool nickname. Is there any last thoughts you want to share with us today? We don't want to go too long today. Any last mottos, thoughts, mentalities, things you want to leave our audience with?
Keep pushing for what sets your soul on fire. Get out the door every day with excitement and focus on those things in life, because that's what makes this world special and what makes a change in this world. Yeah, I feel like that's what I live by, and I would love to keep putting that energy into the world. A big shout out to the Miami scene, to Late Night Menu crew, to Arthur and Shane doing special things in the running world down here. The new On store that just opened up will have a running crew, so be on the lookout for the On Run Club. Frankie Ruiz, you guys over at Sneaker Impact, and the group at I Run, the full squad. I'm sure I missed some people, but all the love to everybody down here. I'm stoked to be down here for a couple months, and I can't wait for some more adventures down in South Florida and around the world.
Yep. That's awesome. It's been fun having this conversation with you today, David. Thank you for making the time out of your busy life and telling us about all the projects and the cool adventures. You've been someone really fun to follow, David Kilgore on Instagram. We'll be sharing all the links below to David's projects, like the New York City Trail Fest. So, David, thank you so much again for your time. We hope to chat with you more in the future. Good luck with all your projects, and thanks for all your hard work.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
All right. Take care, man.
Have a good one.
Bye.